Good morning everybody and welcome to what will be round 6 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Formula C Championship here on Project Cars 2 at the Oschersleben A course. Yes! I nailed it. I've been practicing that for the last couple of minutes, but this is certainly going to be an interesting track. The first corner and the second corner are very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of chaos on the first lap. And anytime there is two cars going into turn 1, but we won't be on board with our current championship leader, as I will read that out in a moment. The championship standings. We'll go on board with Mark this week, just so we can see what he can bring, because in the chat there was a little bit of confidence. Well, not from Mark, but from Galactic Skull, saying that Mark was pretty quick, yeah. So that's good to see. People who can possibly challenge Nemesis for the title, and of course, as I usually mention, for the first qualifying and the first race, we have dry conditions, so we will not be having any crazy mist or fog or rain or hail or whatever. So it's good, nice and clear conditions where I can see the cars on the circuit, unlike the second qualifying at Imola where I could not see a thing. So I'll just read out the championship standings now. We have Nemesis Racing leading the championship on 115 points, leading Mark in second on 85. Then comes Murcielago in third on 83. Then we have Ragnar, who won't be racing tonight, I believe. Yep, he won't be racing, on 77 points. We have Chazza, who missed both races at Imola last week, on 73. We have VSR Blizzard, who was challenging Nemesis towards the end of the races at Imola, on 64 points. We have Galactic Skull 2 on 34 points. Then we have Kadeshi on 26 points, Beamer Black on 19, and Eltanovic on 16, JFD on 14 points, Kevin Jacobs on 13 points, and Dania Bin Lahar, who won't be joining us once more tonight, on the singular 1 point. And we have a few more drivers than last week, so that makes me a little bit happy. Or do we have the same? I can't even remember. But we have more than certainly we did at Hockenheim, and that's certainly a good thing. I must say I did some laps of this track before this session started, and this is a pretty difficult track, I must say. So credit goes to these guys, of course. JB, this is the Oschersleben track in Germany. As Mark has gone provisionally on pole with a 133.3, and Chazza does beat that by 0.2 of a second on a 133.1. But Nemesis Racing, oh my golly gosh, he's gone on pole with a 130.8. That is an absolute stonker of a lap by the championship leader, and I was talking Mark up a little bit. He hasn't quite delivered the lap, so come on, Mark, we need someone to take it to the championship leader, please. Oh, and speaking of Mark, he just had quite a big moment coming out of that corner, so I'm not too sure if he'll be anywhere near Nemesis, who does look absolutely supreme at the moment. with a 1:30.8, 2.2 seconds quicker than Chazza, who's in second place. Once again, the Italian showing he has some ridiculous pace. And Murcielago has just invalidated this lap, I believe. So it doesn't look like Murcielago will improve. As we can see, lots of people have invalidated their lap times. JFD, Galactic Skull, I'm not too sure what Blizzard, oh, it looks like Chazza has just invalidated his lap, and so has Nemesis. So it is pretty much only Mark who can improve here, as he is now coming up to the start-finish line. Does he improve? He does, to a 32.2, but he has been beaten by Murcielago, who did improve, my apologies, on a 31.8, but Nemesis is still very comfortable out ahead by 9/10 of a second, nearly a whole entire second, which is quite remarkable by the Italian, and he has taken pole for the first race here at the Oschersleben track in Germany. And yes, indeed, JFD, Galactic Skull and VSR Blizzard have not set any lap times. Looks like Galactic Skull is going to Narnia with many lap time invalidation warnings coming up constantly. So, fantastic. I'm not too sure. VSR Blizzard must have had similar issues. Not entirely sure, unless he is on a hot lap, which, to be fair, it does look like he is still on a lap, so my bad. Oh, he goes a little bit on the curb. I must say, being on the curbs on this game is not nice. Not a fan. Feels like he just gets sucked into the gravel on them. But what will VSR Blizzard set here? Coming to the line, he sets a 1:37.8, so there must have been a mistake earlier on in the lap, because he certainly has a lot more pace to show than that. But that is all she wrote for the first qualifying session. Oh, and it was only half a second that Murcielago in the end was behind Nemesis on 31.4, but it is of course the Italian who takes pole quite comfortably by half a second over Murcielago, then followed by Mark, Chazza, Beamer Black, VSR Blizzard, JFD and Galactic Skull. And of course, now we will wait for the drivers to all sync up into the lobby, and then for the 5 red lights to go out. It must be said, it looks like Nemesis does have the pace here to win it once more, I believe for the 3rd consecutive race. And it is lights out and away we go. It looks like the Italian has got a decent start. Oh, there's a car in the wall, and that is JFD at the back there. Oh, and here we go. This is going to be fireworks down into turn 1, but it is indeed Murcielago who has taken the lead, and everything's very nice through turn 1. Well, they're 3 wide, and that is all. There's been some little bit of contact there. Oh, can we get some better trackside cameras? Honestly, I'm 1,000 miles away here. But it was Chazza who there was a little bit of contact with just on the exit of turn 2, but it is Nemesis who has a very poor start, and VSR Blizzard who has had an absolute mega start and is in P2, but Nemesis looking to go up the inside there, and he does, which forces VSR Blizzard off the track and into the gravel trap. And who was that following him there? It was Mark, and Mark has gained a position by doing so. Oh, and that's VSR Blizzard going for a spin. He said before that he hadn't practiced, and he's absolutely ballsed it up there. A big mistake by Blizzard, and that after a very good start for him, he is now down in P8. Disappointing for Blizzard there, but it is Murcielago who's taken the lead, and he is in the gravel, and that should allow Nemesis to gain some time on him here. Murcielago had a very good start, was able to get ahead of Nemesis, and Nemesis was down into P4 for a moment, so he's done well to claw himself back, that is for sure. And look how much he is gaining now on Murcielago as we head down into the ever difficult turn 1. Oh, is Nemesis shaping for a move? I thought he was for a moment. Let's see if we can get a better exit out of this corner, which I was always seeming to run wide. But of course, these guys have been racing in these cars a lot more than me, and they've been... Oh, and there has been some massive contact in the background between VSR Blizzard and JFD. They have sent each other nearly to Narnia. Gee whiz. That was ridiculous. Oh, please don't do it again. I thought they were going to go into the back of each other again. But if Nemesis does win this race, I do apologise, it'll be his 4th consecutive win in a row. So it just shows how quick he is in these cars. And I do have him as my favourite to win this race, and indeed the championship, because he has just been supreme and the most consistent driver so far this season. But Murcielago isn't going to make it easy for the Italian, that is for sure. He's going to fight with everything he has got to hold Nemesis behind, as it looks like Chazza has got a penalty, which is not what you want around this track, or any track in fact. But I must say, it's good to see the top 6, you know, not as spread out as we're used to seeing. It looks like everyone is actually pretty close on pace here, which is good to see. But it looks like Murcielago did consolidate sort of his lead there after Nemesis did really catch up to him on the lap beforehand, as Nemesis does go a little bit deep into turn 1, which will cost him a little bit of time there. But does look Murcielago does have the pace, in fact, to be in the lead, so kudos to Murcielago here. But the main issue is he's got to do it now for another 11 minutes against the very ever consistent Nemesis, as we have seen Murcielago go into the gravel, and he is now on the outside, and Nemesis has gone up the inside, and that is... Oh, this was side by side here, I believe. No, not quite, as Nemesis has now taken the lead after Murcielago's mistake, going wide at one of the corners on the exit, getting caught on the what's it called? What's happened to me? Getting caught on the curb. Yep, that's it. Just a basic word there, which I've forgotten. Getting caught on the curb and going off onto the grass. A costly mistake there for Murcielago, and it's indeed cost him his lead the race. But Chazza and Mark, after this little squabble that Nemesis and Murcielago have really caught up to these lot, and now the top 4 are only separated by 2 seconds after Chazza did make a slight mistake through that last corner, which didn't quite allow Mark to get onto the back of him. Oh, and Murcielago making another mistake. He's hit the cone, he's gone off into the gravel, and that should allow Chazza to go up the inside into this next corner. Will it allow the Brit to make the move on the Austrian? It does indeed. And Chazza defends the inside, making sure that Murcielago can't go around, and this should allow Mark up the inside. Will Murcielago go wide? He does indeed, ever so slightly, and that should... Yes, this will definitely allow Mark to go up the inside. And through his own mistakes here, Murcielago has dropped down to P4, as we have just seen in the space of a couple of corners. Chazza and Mark leapfrog him to go 2nd and 3rd respectively. But this race is not over by any means, that is for sure, as this is it's very easy to make mistakes at this track, as we are seeing here by Murcielago, who is everywhere. And yes, thank you Kevin Jacobs. Of course, there is that delay with what I am saying and what you are hearing me say in time. Of course, there is that delay. So thank you for saying curb, as I couldn't think for a moment, as Chazza is under a severe amount of pressure here by Mark, who is certainly looking very quick at this stage of the race. Chazza defends the inside, and I don't think Mark will go around the outside. Very well defended by Chazza there. Made sure that Mark couldn't go around the outside. Cut him off. Very smart and great intelligent driving there, as we've had someone go off for a spin in the background there. Not too sure who that was, but I just want to stay on board with these guys because it's very easy to make a mistake through that corner. I believe it was Galactic Skell who made that mistake at turn 1, so I did see that. You're not going to get away with that. But of course we'll go back on board with our closest battle on track and most important battle on track, and that is between Chazza and Mark for 2nd place. And indeed, Toby, it is the Oschersleben track here in Germany. And of course, JB, a long-time subscriber of Chazza's YouTube channel, here supporting Chazza. Good to see you in the chat, mate. But it is Nemesis who is certainly extending his lead out in front. It's now 3.5 seconds to Chazza and Mark. Chazza here is defending ever so well from Mark. And as you can see, Murcielago, after he's made those mistakes, is dropping back even into the clutches of Beamer Black for 5th place. So disappointing race for Murcielago after what was such a promising start for him. Getting the lead after starting 2nd, but then has just made too many mistakes throughout this race and has cost himself a podium finish and potentially even a win. Because he did have the pace, he was showing some really good pace at the start of this race. But Mark has certainly fallen off a little bit to Chazza on this lap. Not too sure what is going on here with Mark. Chazza might have just found some pace because he's now 2.7 seconds away from Nemesis. Yes, he is pulling away from Mark here, is Chazza. Will the Nemesis potentially get obstructed by some traffic ahead? Yes, it looks like VSR Blizzard is that lapped car. So Nemesis might have got impeded, I'm not too sure, because of course we didn't see, but that may have been an explanation. Yes, and you can see Nemesis was extremely slower than he was on the previous lap by about a second, so I think he might have been held up slightly there, or he could have just made a mistake, as we can see him there at the bottom of our picture. And indeed, Chazza and Mark are now starting to close the gap to Nemesis, and we have seen this in the past couple of races. We've seen it done by Blizzard in the past 2 races at Imola, where Nemesis had a 5-second gap to Blizzard, but it was very closed down towards the end of the race. Does the Italian struggle on his tyres, and is this allowing Chazza and Mark to close in on him? And the last thing that these two should really do at the moment is battle, because if they don't battle, they might find themselves sneaking up to the back of Nemesis by the end of the race here. Of course, they have 4.5 minutes to do so, so it is going to be a tall order. But it can be done, that is for sure. Kevin saying in the chat, if Mark gets by Chazza, I think he can run Val down. Well, I think we're seeing here that Chazza is very capable of running Nemesis down, as he has been doing so over the past couple of laps. As you can see there, both Mark and Chazza 3/10 of a second quicker than Nemesis on that previous lap, but that is not going to be enough if they want to catch Nemesis by the end of this race. They're going to have to be going a lot more quicker and hope that Nemesis makes a mistake in front. But I don't really see that happening by the Italian. He's been so consistent, and he seemingly just does not make mistakes in these cars and on this game. And we might just go on board here with Mark behind Chazza just to get a different view of what is going on. as you can see there, Mark is getting very close to Chazza, and knowing my luck, if what Mark just did to Chazza in front of me, Chazza would be off the road because of my lag. So I'm very glad that didn't cause any issues here, but it does look like Nemesis has been a little bit more comfortable on this lap as Chazza does go a little bit deep into that corner, but Mark really can't capitalise. It does look like Chazza is starting to feel the pressure of Mark now, and Mark is down the inside, and it looks like he has made the move on Chazza. He has indeed, but Chazza will look to get the move back here into turn 1. He's going to try it around the outside as Mark goes very, very, very defensive. And who will make the move stick? Is Chazza going to make the move around the outside? And there is contact, but it looks like Chazza has made the move around the outside. What a fantastic, fantastic move. That is by the Brit. Sorry, I've just read a comment by by Toby in the chat, but that was an absolutely banging move by Chazza, but he looks like he is struggled on the exit out of that corner, and he defends the inside, which should allow should allow Chazza to stay ahead, because it is very hard to go around the outside there, and he got forced off of the track there by Chazza. That has cost Mark a little bit of time, but certainly made these two squabbling has certainly made Nemesis lead a lot more secure out the front of this race. Toby said, for just £1 a month, you can help Nibbler get a good connection. This is the thing. I have good internet. I used to have better internet. I've got 40 download here. And in Australia, that's absolutely mega internet. But when you guys are in Europe, you know, there's just ping that I'm going to have to deal with, and that is what causes the lag, of course. So if it's £1 a week to make me move over to the UK, I think that would be even better. As we are going to, this might be the last lap. Yes, it will be. I think it will be the last lap of this race, as Nemesis is looking very comfortable out in front. But will Mark be able to close the gap here to Chazza after their little squabble that they had on the last lap? And JB, of course, supporting Chazza in the chat. But I tell you what, it's certainly been very quiet behind the top 3. The gaps are very big. Murcielago 3 to 4 seconds behind these lot. Then Beamer Black another 5 behind that. Galactic Skull another 14 seconds behind. JFD another 15, 13 behind. And VSR Blizzard 6 minutes and 24 seconds behind. So I think the effects of him not practicing are well and truly showing here at the moment. Oh, but I did mention early in the race, Chazza had a penalty, didn't he? Did Chazza have a penalty? I think he might have. Oh, this might cost Chazza here this second place, because Mark is, of course, right on his tail. But we're going to go on board with Nemesis, who takes a commanding win in race 1 here at the what's the name of the track again? Oschersleben circuit. And it is Mark who finishes P2 ahead of Chazza after Chazza has that penalty. And Murcielago, who looked very, very good at the start of this race, finishes P4 with Beamer Black in 5th. Galactic Skull coming home eventually in 6th. Then we'll have JFD in 7th and Blizzard in 8th. Right. Yes, Chazza had a very costly 1 second penalty there. Very unfortunate for Chazza there, after he would have secured what would have been a very impressive P2 there. But look at that, the top 4 all within a couple of tenths of each other in terms of their fastest laps. But it was the consistency of the Italian and not having to battle anyone and just being able to run his own race out ahead which made him win the race by 6 seconds. A superb drive by the Italian there. And we will now move on to qualifying 2 and race 2, of course. And, of course, we will have some mixed conditions. I wonder what project cars are going to throw, what they're going to throw at us here. It will be quite interesting to see. Last time it was fog and mist. I thought we were in Scotland, not San Marino or Italy, you know. Hopefully the Germans provide a bit better weather so I can see the cars on track than last time. Chazza saying in the chat, third it is, I did my best. Lol, indeed you did, you had a very good race, mate. Toby saying, great battle, GG, well played. GB saying, Nibbler, how have you not been hyped by Sky Sport? You're way better than Crofty, lol. Well, I don't think it's too hard to be better than Crofty, to be honest with you, but Gaming Now, or Toby in the chat, he's a very good commentator himself. That's for sure. You should hear him commentate. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does. He of course commentates the F1 League on Sunday nights for Europeans, and the Sunday Arvo for the Americans, and of course the Monday morning for me. Galactic Skull saying, so why can everyone else brake normally, but when I do it, I have no brakes? I certainly felt that when I was practicing. Into turn 1 I had to brake at like 200 meters before even any of the brake marker boards, so yeah, a bit weird this game. And Chazza explaining why he had that time penalty. He had a corner cut penalty. He had a 1 second time penalty. He did indeed, which cost him P2 in that race 2 mark. As we were just waiting for VSR Blizzard to rejoin the session, and now we are going to get back underway with, of course, our random weather for the second qualifying second, I should say, for this race here at the Oschersleben A course in Germany. It will be interesting to see what the game decides the weather will be. Now, whilst we're waiting, I might just check what the football scores are. Oh. Schalke up 2-1 against City. Get in there. Oh, no, come on! 2 weeks in a row! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Project Cars just does not like me. It is clear to see. Well, speaking of clear to see, that's certainly not what we're seeing at the moment. We can't see a bloody Scooby-Doo! Oh, no, this is very, very annoying, and now we won't be able to run the trackside cameras. We will have to be on board, because that was VSR Blizzard losing the rear end there. Did he manage to keep it under control? Yes, right, let's go to the onboard cameras, and I think the most excitement here on this outlap we're going to have is with VSR Blizzard, because he has been struggling, as we've seen in the first race. Oh, don't hit the guy! Yep, that was clear to say that was going to happen. Thankfully, he ended up around the right way. I think he hit the back of Nemesis there, I believe so. So VSR Blizzard, don't be hitting the back of the championship leader like Ragno did on Val's second qualifying lap at Imola. Please don't be doing that. Toby saying the onboard CAD Grand Prix. Yes, Well, certainly for the qualifying session, hopefully we have better conditions in the race. Oh, and VSR Blizzard, what are you doing? He just got on the grass trying to warm up his tyres in these very cold and Scottish conditions, but he failed. He got on the grass and spun the car, but I think we'll go on board with Nemesis here. He is the cream of the crop. He is the cream of the field. Now look at that. He braked it like 150 metres, 100 metres. I had to brake it 200 metres. This game is rigged. Of course it's not. But very tight line through that sweeping right-hander there by Nemesis, as he is looking so smooth, and not one time as he lost the rear end of this car. It looks like he is on rails like the Ferrari at the moment. If you've been following anything from pre-season testing, of course. Of course, Chazza and I are keeping a very keen eye on that. Well, Nemesis, just as I was singing these praises, he gets on the grass a little bit there, and it looked like he didn't quite see the corner coming up ahead, so not the smoothest lap for the Italian, but he'll probably end up doing a 30.8 or something, as I am saying that he hasn't had the best lap in the world. As Murcielago has had his lap time invalidated, as we will start to see our first couple of lap times popping up about now. And yes, indeed, we have Chaz on a 133.4, Mark on a 141.5, so he's obviously made a mistake. And there's Nemesis, who is currently on pole, or currently on provisional pole position, on a 132.7, 7 tenths ahead of Chazza. Then further back we have Beamer Black on a 136.1, VSR Blizzard on a 136.2, which is certainly a lot better. What was I just saying? A lot better, and then there he is in the gravel, and I swear he's nearly taken out Beamer Black there. Now I thought Beamer Black was up the inside there, so thankfully there was no contact. But Galactic Skull is struggling at the moment. Let's see what lap time he's set, a 146.5. At least he will have another lap to have a go at it. And Murcielago has just given up on life. We'll go on board with the closest man to Nemesis here, and that is Chazza. Very nice through these fast sort of, don't even know what type of corners you call them, but he's coming now through the last couple of corners, and now coming up to the last corner on this track. Very hard to see, of course, but he runs a tiny bit wide, and that might cost him a little bit of time as he runs towards the line. And what time does he set? He sets a 131.7, and that is currently putting him on provisional pole position. But we will go on board with Nemesis now, who is coming to the line. What time will he set? He sets a 132.2, and it is currently Chazza who is on pole. And it doesn't look like there will be anyone else who will beat that pole position time. Beamer Black, will he be able to do anything out the bag? No, he will not be able to. Murcielago is still giving up on life. So it looks like Chazza has taken pole position here with a 131.7, half a second ahead of our championship leader. And finally, we see someone different on pole. Oh, where's my voice gone? It's gone to Narnia, but that is I think that might be the first time we have seen a different pole sitter in this championship. Wowee, what an effort that is by Chazza to take pole position in these very, very difficult and tricky conditions ahead of Nemesis, who is 2 seconds ahead of VSR Blizzard, closely followed by Mark. Then just a bit further behind, Beamer Black, JFD, Galactic Skull, and then Murcielago, who gave up on life. And this is a lot better for some action in this race, a lot better than having the heavy mist and fog we have heavy rain here at the Oschersleben track as we are waiting for the lobby to sync up and then for the 5 lights to go out for the start of the race. And it is going to be very interesting going down into turn 1, that is for sure. There will be lots of carnage, that is for sure, but who will get a better start here as we are racing, and it looks like Chazza has got a very good start there ahead of Nemesis as he leads the pack down into the first corner. Who will come out on top as we don't have a very good view here? Change cameras as Chazza has maintained P1. Oh, and this is going to be hell. Look how much puddles there are. It is puddle galore behind. It looks like VSR Blizzard has just made his way past Nemesis, and then he is on the grass. And he is gifted Nemesis back that position. Oh, there's been some contact there between VSR and Murcielago. But thankfully not major contacts, which has forced them. I love this camera angle. Reminds me of the follow through on Top Gear with that camera they had in the tyre barrier. Oh, and VSR Blizzard, no practicino has cost him here, and he has just spun himself out of any contention possibly for a good result in this race. Well, I'm talking a podium, because realistically I don't think that will quite happen for him now. After that mistake, he's a bit too far behind these drivers who seemingly just do not make mistakes. But it is of course Chazza who is in the lead by 1.5 seconds over Nemesis, our championship leader. As we go on board with JFD, well, we go trackside with JFD and VSR Blizzard, who are having a bit of a battle here, and I don't know how that has quite worked out. But JFD has gone spinning, and I think VSR Blizzard ended up in the gravel, and so did Galactic Skull, and oh, this is chaos here at the back of the grid. JFD going into the gravel, and I'm sure it'll be only a matter of time before we see some more action here, as Galactic Skull couldn't quite capitalise on the mistakes that these two drivers ahead are making. As we've seen some action further ahead, but we will see any action here. No, but we'll go on board with that. Oh, and Beamer Black has spun, or there's been some contact, and he's there, and he is also joined by Beamer Black. He said, "Oh, hello there, mate." Not by Beamer Black, by JFD. Beamer Black was already there, but JFD had joined him there and said, "Oh, hello." And oh, we have Murcielago running wide there. A big mistake once again by the Austrian, as we have seen quite a lot throughout this race. Both of these races making too many mistakes. He's had the pace to be up there. Oh, that's some lag. Yep, great. But he's had the pace to be with these guys, but he's just made too many mistakes. I'm sure he will be kicking himself. Oh, Mark looking for the switch back there. Will he make the move stick around the outside? No, not. Oh, Mark is already ahead. Yeah, it was Murcielago trying to make the switch back. My bad on that one. It didn't quite come off. Oh, and Murcielago going through the puddle there, and that has cost him quite a load of time. But we will go on board with one of these drivers at some stage during this race, just to see where the puddles are. And it looks like we're suffering quite a bit of lag here, which is not good. That's not what we want, because then I will get excited over nothing. And I don't like getting excited over nothing, that is for sure, especially when I do have a bit of a sore throat. And you can see there the puddle on the inside, so every driver is being forced to go very wide, and Murcielago has not realised that, and that has cost him quite a bit of time to mark. You must always be aware of your surroundings, and I think that is Galactic Skull, who's gone for a spin in the background. No, that was someone else. Someone else went for a spin in the background, I believe, then. But it is Chazza, who is looking pretty good out in front, about 2 seconds. That is not Chazza, that is Nemesis, Nemesis did go slightly wide, but it is Shazza who I'm saying is looking very good at the front of this race at the moment, looking pretty comfortable in these conditions, which you probably wouldn't expect, because these are very difficult conditions. But we'll go on board with Chazza here, just to see where the track is the most difficult and where all the puddles are. As you can see, there's a puddle on the inside of that corner, so he's just having to keep a wider line to make sure he doesn't go in that puddle, so that the car just doesn't come to a complete halt near a very difficult little patch there. And you can see some puddles forming on the inside of this corner, so that's going to be an issue as we come into the latter stages of this race. And some puddles just to the right there on the main straight, so you don't want to be going all the way to the right into that corner. But now we can see some puddles forming up all the way, and Chaz has gone a bit deep there, I must say. But all there on the right hand side, lots and lots of puddles, which is forcing the drivers to take a wider line around the outside through turn 2 to make sure they avoid those puddles. But we'll stay on board just up until the second sector, or the start of the third sector, just to see where the track is really difficult and causing these drivers a lot of trouble. Although I might have to put those plans on hold, as we have Mark and Murcielago getting a little bit closer to each other. So I am prepared to change to that at any time, but it doesn't look like there is a whole load of puddles on track at the moment, like we say we had at the where did we have a whole load of puddles before? I can't remember where we had a wet race early on in the season. We had a whole load of puddles all over the track, and the drivers were really struggling with that. But we will now go on board with Murcielago. It was caught up to the back of Mark, and Mark has gone a little bit deep there. Now both drivers recognising that the puddle is there, which is good to see, which is what I was talking about. Taking that wider line, making sure that they aren't bringing their car to a halt, as I am trying to work these silly things. Here we go. Now we'll go on the trackside cam so we can get a better view of these two heading down into turn 1. But Murcielago is a bit too far back, and as you can see, the puddle there. Oh, and both drivers are going to come to a standstill. That is exactly what I was talking about, guys. And that is the perfect display of what I was talking about just there, as the drivers come to a pretty much stop. And look how waterlogged the grass is. I'm sure the track in real life has some better drainage system than this. But the rest of the field is very spread out. Oh, and I didn't notice that, but Mark has made a mistake, and Murcielago has gone up the inside to take P1. Oh, and they're glued onto the back of each other, and they have cost each other a lot of time there. Thankfully, that neither of them have taken each other out, really, but they did lose a a severe amount of time there. This Murcielago has moved himself up in it to P3 ahead of Mark, and I'm sure this is going to be an ongoing battle until the end of this race, which will finish in 6 minutes. But it doesn't look like our championship leader is making any inroads on Chazza. And it looks like Chazza is fairly comfortable out the front of this race. But speaking of comfortable, Murcielago certainly is not that, as Mark is now closing into turn 1. Is he going to go down the inside, Mark? Yes, he is. Will he be able to make the move stick? It looks like yes. Murcielago's just gone too deep, and everyone's struggling with that puddle so much now. I wouldn't even call it a puddle. It's like the track's been flooded in that area. But Mark made the nice move up the inside. Murcielago trying to hold it around the outside. Just broke too late. Went deep into the gravel. And cost himself that P3. But certainly would have been very difficult to hold on to that position. And just as I was saying, Chazza was looking quite comfortably at the front. I think he might have made a bit of a mistake, because the gap to our championship leader is just about 2.5 seconds. So commentator's curse has well and truly been in effect so far today. Ooh, as Mark does go a little bit deep into that chicane. And Murcielago, will he think of making the move around the outside? He is going for it. Will he be able to stick it out the gravel? Oh, what a move that is by Murcielago. Oh, but he's gone in the puddle, and he's made some contact there with Mark as his car slowed down as he went through the puddle. And is Murcielago going to go around the outside again? He goes a little bit off track, and Mark has gone down the inside after he's gone off track. But if Murcielago had kept it out of that puddle, then that would have been an absolutely exquisite move by Murcielago, and we have seen him pull off some very impressive moves around the outside in the wet already this season. So he is used to doing those sort of brilliant moves, but both of them not realising that the inside is the worst line possible through that corner. But Murcielago, being very cheeky, has snuck his way up the inside of Mark, and is he going to be able to hold the move coming down into the next corner? No, Mark has the inside line, and Mark should hold on to that position, and indeed it does, although it does look like they are a little bit glued to each other, but now they are not, as Mark is clearly ahead of Murcielago in this brilliant battle for P3. Oh, and you can hear how much the drivers are struggling to get on the throttle there, as Mark was just cutting the throttle on and off 1,000 times to make sure that the car could stay in a straight line, as Murcielago looks very, very quick through that chicane. And who was that running? It looks like someone was running right in the background, but it wasn't. It was just my eyes deceiving me. I sound like Socrates now. Great. Back to philosophy. Oh, and Murcielago, I think, has run a little bit wide there. Yes, he did indeed, and that's cost him some time. To Mark. Not what you want. You've got to try and keep the pressure on, and that has just allowed Mark to have a little bit more breathing space. But I'm sure with the pace of Murcielago that he has been showing that he will not be feeling all so comfortable for too long, as the gap in front is now only a second. But I'm going to stay on board with these guys just to watch the comedic... Yep. Oh, it's so bad through there. And Murcielago went for the cheeky little move up the inside, just putting his car in that position and then letting the water just drift him through down the inside of Mark. But Mark has maintained that position, and I think we'll go on board with Nemesis, as he has certainly closed the gap quite significantly to Chazza in the past couple of minutes. Championship leader wanting to win his 5th race in a row. He doesn't want to let the Brit steal his glory, but I'm sure Chazza will be as well. I'm sure Chazza will want to keep that his first place. Oh, but Chazza's gone into the puddle there, and now that has allowed Nemesis to be all over the back of him. This is not what you want. Oh, and Chazza's buckling under the pressure here. It looks like he's starting to struggle a little bit more with these conditions. Oh, as he receives a tap up the rear end by Nemesis, and that looks like it is going to pretty much gift Nemesis this first place. But we have seen Chazza be very good around the outside. But did Chazza hit that puddle I was talking about on the straight? I think he might have. As Nemesis goes down the inside, who was And and of course the puddle there, and I thought Chazza was going to do the cheeky Murcielago thing there, but it is Nemesis who has taken the lead of this race after we've seen that mistake from Chazza behind. I've seen these guys going side by side, that's why I cut back onto them, but Nemesis, who hasn't led a lap so far in this race, is going to lead on the last lap of the race, and that is all that matters, is that you are leading when you come across the line. Of course, it is not over, as Nemesis does run wide there. That will cost him some time, but it hasn't cost him too much time, which is so strange. But it is certainly not over, as this is, of course, the final lap of the race. Nemesis can still make a mistake. There are certainly plenty of puddles where he can make a mistake. I'm not sure why they think... Yeah, the camera system was a bit broken there, but we'll go make sure we're on board with Nemesis here to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes on this final lap. He's just got to keep it clean, avoid that puddle on the inside, which Chazza did not do on the previous lap, which has cost him oh so dearly in this race. As we now come through the final corner, and Chazza's gone for a Daddy Rick dive bomb down the inside on Nemesis, and Chazza must be kicking himself. He was in control of this race, but the ever consistent Nemesis has won his 5th consecutive race in a row, and once again has extended his massive lead in the championship over Mark and the rest of the drivers. What a performance by the Italian to claw that gap back to Chazza, but of course Chazza ultimately made the mistake that mattered at the end of the day, which gifted Nemesis the win in the end. But it is Mark who comes out on top of that titanic battle between Mark and Murcielago for 3rd place, and once again Murcielago showed some very good pace in that race, but just wasn't able to quite get that podium, as we have Galactic Skull finishing in 5th, quite a ways off Murcielago and Mark. But the main thing is he just finished the race, as shown here by JFD and Beamer Black, getting the points. You guaranteed points if you finish, so a wise decision here by these lots. And JFD has gone for a little spin, and that has allowed Beamer Black to just go ahead of JFD quite comfortably. As Beamer Black coming up to the start finish line will get that P6. Good amount of points there for Beamer Black, and JFD, will he get it in time? I don't know if he has got that P7, but yes he has, so very good there. But after what was looking like a very comfortable race for Chazza, Nemesis with a brilliant performance towards the end of the race and a crucial mistake by Chazza going in that puddle has cost him the win, as Nemesis wins his 5th consecutive race in a row and is in complete and utter control of the championship at the moment. Finishes P1, Mark in P3 with a very good battle between him and Murcielago, who finished P4, Galactic Skull in 5th, Beamer Black in 6th, and JFD in 7th. But that is it, folks, for round 6 here at the Oschersleben track in Germany. I don't know why it's got the British flag there, because it's not a British track, but sure. But thank you everyone for joining, as what that has been once again another enthralling round 6 indeed of this Project Cars 2 Formula C Championship for the Nemesis Online Racing League, and it has been me, Niblo, and I'll catch you guys later. I hope you have a very, very good day.